Howdy there, folks, and welcome to the Black Pants Legion podcast. Those of you who've been listening for a while have heard our previous RPGs we have recorded and put on this podcast, from Star Trek to the Magistratum Mundanus. This podcast is no different, and this series, in best sequence as we are able, will tell the story of the Reckless, a Vargar patrol ship we managed to steal. Unfortunately, because of technical issues, the first episode of this podcast has been lost to time and space and incompetence. But what we have done is grabbed all the crew, put them in a room, and we are going to do our best to try to explain how this insane story began, the choices we made in the first episode, the beginning of what was intended before it went way off the rails, and what characters we play. So joining me tonight is Mr. Crow, who played Carlos Jones.
Hello.
Crow, tell us about Carlos Jones.
Carlos Jones, he's a man of mystery. Carlos Jones doesn't really like authority or people who like to press upon authorities. He also doesn't like bad mustaches. All of these qualities you can find in our captain. And I was not, I played Carlos Jones as kind of like a rogue kind of character.
You were like basically a greaser scumbag.
Yeah, he's an archaeologist.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean grave robber?
Yes, he was a grave robber.
It's just a matter of time.
Kind of
just a matter of time.
Indiana Jones.
One becomes the other, but yeah.
Yeah. He was a grave robber who ended up going on this mission with these guys, constantly giving the captain, whatever he can because he thought it would be fun. And he was also connected to a organization, but the rest of the players didn't know that.
Yeah, we didn't. And then immediately you're like, oh yeah, those guys. And we're like, fuck. So going round table, the next character is the smartest person on board. Dr. Dante Morton, PhD, is played by Diggs. Diggs, tell us a little bit about Dr. Dante Morgan and why he became a spaceman.
All right. Well, originally he was a researcher and was heavily into medical field, but then he realized that he doesn't really like blood or guts or dealing with rotten things. It's apparently when you're inside people, it's hard to stay clean. He has OCD. He has a lot of paranoia.
Yeah.
Very rise above his mental disabilities type of dude, and became a brilliant researcher, astrophysicist, and really good with computers because they all kind of coalesce together in what he needed to do to get his job done. So if you're visually picking him, he's more like if you pictured Edward Nygma from the original Mr. Freeze Burton area Batman, but add a little bit more red hair and sciencey to him, a nice beard, and a bit older
and knowing
gentleman.
How to make meth.
Well, that's just part of chemistry. He he's not going to say he's not he's not a Heisenberg per se, but he can make do with what he got.
He won't make the blue, but he will make do.
But he's very much an inventor and a scientist, and the only thing on this place that they can call a medic, but they luckily never had to listen to that part.
All right. And next up is the man who played basically a Shadowrun, a 1980 Shadowrun character, and was our computer expert, playing Zachary Isidore Ledger, a.k.a. Zilch. Commissar Jake, tell us about your 1980s hero.
I think it's important to note that the character I played in this was basically showing the power of the yes and of Traveller character creation. Because my original concept was I was going to go for a bounty hunter. Kind of cool, do the whole Hawaiian shirt, trank gun, and be like, hey, if you don't come with me, my big cat friend over there will beat the hell out of you. One way or the other, you're coming with me. And in my first roll on the career chart, I got blown up and had to come out of the career instantly.
Hell yeah.
So my only choice was, I can go into military service or I can go into Nothing, pretty much. So my character changed from this that kind of like Magnum PI style character I wanted to play into like, he became a cipher for the scout service and has all this computer stuff and started to hear things you shouldn't know. And I went for this not hacker man style thing, but the best way to describe him is the gargoyles from Snow Crash. This whole idea of just a guy from this kind of 1980s style cassette futurism technology, just covered head to toe in as much tech gear as he can get his hands on, the walking computer. And with the chip installation in his head where he can just give himself skills when he needs to, and I think it worked quite well. It's up for everyone else to judge, though.
All right, next up was the captain of our crew, the consummate Canadian, and the man with perhaps the second best mustache on board, Jonathan Big John McCarran, played by Psyduck.
Oh,
Psyduck,
yeah.
tell us about the captain.
He did not talk like that.
Oh yeah, there he's a good captain there, but that he did not talk like that at all. Thank you very much, Mr.
No,
Diggs.
but his mustache
sorry, Mr.
twitched
Morgan.
every time we did shit.
Yes. Jonathan Big John McCarran. Basically, my idea behind him was to be a rather formal Navy captain, long history in both the scout service, military service, even did a little bit of the spy game for a little bit. Kind of got the Canadian mustache, lumberjack kind of look behind it. And yeah, he was actually... unlike Jake's character of being blown up in the first one, he literally went all the way to the end to have a career, and how he got this lovely opportunity to work with such a fine class of sailors I see you, Carlos Jones.
As the DM, I can confirm that it was all roles. We did not intend to, but we accidentally made that character James Bond. He was like 30 years of special operations, covert surveillance, special scout service. He had 4 enemies. He had one of them from a tryst. He had 2 different lovers.
Yeah.
Living his best life, and had a mustache that I could only dream of one day paying a surgeon to attach to my face. Because it was a beautiful...
Living his best life.
Yes. The most beautiful... I'm sorry. The best mustache was actually to our large kitty friend, because it was all mustache.
It was a great mustache, but I think Carlos Jones's like criminal padlock mustache is definitely better.
My cipher from the Matrix.
Yeah. So speaking of large kitty friend, our fur-coated razor blade, the jackknife of terror, and the person who had all of the weapons, Krenitus, who was a Lieutenant Colonel Aslan, 6 foot plus of like ass-kicking lion man, played by CJ. Tell us how Krenitus began.
Krenitus began as an Aslan that had moved into the Imperium, which if you've read some of the history, you see Aslans that sometimes migrate to the Imperium. So his family had, and he'd grown up on another world, and the only job really on that world was Imperial Army. Because it's the world of Roklaw, and if you look into the history of Roklaw on Traveller Map, it's deliberately held back, but the army is a way out. So yes, he made it to Lieutenant Colonel, and also got cybered up, including some mods that none of the other players ever discovered, including the little tentacle mechadendrite thing that you can get installed in your body, which I thought would be handy if it was ever a case of having to break out or something, of being tied up, but it never came across a case to use it. And yeah, he was the aggressive public relations part of the crew.
So I play the last character, which I would like to invite the DM to help explain. I am a huge believer in the Traveller status is a game that lets you basically play out a midlife crisis, where you go down your choices and nothing works, and then you find where you land, and then fuck it, let's go to space, we ball. I started off making a character and I said, I'd love to be like a Scotty or a Miles O'Brien, because every ship breaks. And then we fucked up so much that my character had to basically live in a spacesuit. And I described this character to the rest of the party, and I was like, what the fuck? I have to play this guy that's like stuck in a life support spacesuit. I don't want to go around and be like Captain Pike, you know, where it's just like, just like, is the engine broken? Be like, beep, beep, and just die. So I said, I could play a plasma man from Space Station 13, where you're just like a burning skeleton in a spacesuit that can't open it or can't get out. And if the spacesuit is ever breached, everyone dies, and including me instantly. And Depp was pretty okay with that idea. And Diggs absolutely encouraged me to play, who became the character Crowban the Adequate, who we basically, because Traveller is so freeform in terms of what you want in the universe and what you don't want in the universe, we just said he is an
exchange officer.
Yeah,
he's the space kook.
Yeah, he was basically the burning, laughing skeleton in a spacesuit who is the exchange officer, and the space kook from Scooby-Doo, if you guys remember that character. And he basically was a complete fish out of water. I started off playing the character with very poor understanding of culture and language and meaning, and then ended up with him being very sarcastic about the Imperium and its supposed might. But Crowban, everyone presumed he was an officer. He wasn't. He was like a sergeant, and he was just like an average merchant marine engineer who just knew how power tools worked. And so Crowban became, in many ways, the unavoidable mascot of the crew.
How did you succeed so much then with just being like a standard
luck?
We're not that lucky.
No. Crowban was not. Crowban was good with tools. His toolbox did most of the work for him. At any rate, we need to discuss where this game begins. So, Depp, would you mind taking over as the DM, explain where it came from, where the story begins, and what people are missing in the first episode that was not recorded?
So, yeah, the kind of the kernel of all this was Tex had offered me some Traveller books because he realized that his plate was fairly full. He was not going to get a chance to run the system. He said, if I give these to you, you got to run Traveller. So I started reading through, got really enamored with the system and the lore, and started looking at kind of what niche I would want to carve out of Traveller to try to run a game. At the time, I mean, this is all pre-Ukrainian conflict. At the time, the Twilight 2000 4th edition was just coming out, and I really liked the concept of taking a familiar place and watching that breakdown of society that they kind of are playing with in that setting. So I went and found where that would be similar in the Traveller timeline. So we're right at the tail end of the Third Imperium as things kind of fall apart. We pick up as a auxiliary scout crew, which I envisioned as being even less involved in the military and dress and field side than normal scouts, which are already considered to be kind of lackadaisical about such things in the setting. So as auxiliaries, you guys are just merchant marines. You do jobs on contract basis, and you were contracted to go fetch a ship that had disappeared from mothball. It had been sold erroneously or maliciously to a person who probably didn't exist and had jumped out of system, and you needed to track it down and recover it so that it could be properly disposed of because DRMO was not happy.
So our first session, we are sent to go steal a ship back that has a sketchy past. I remember we were inducted into the scout service, which was not the greatest moment of our careers. I do remember.
Well, but I believe that occurred on a recorded session.
Yeah.
Did that?
I was going to say, yeah, I believe so. But also, this game started January 29th of 2022.
Yeah, so we're talking a month before the Ukrainian war started is when we did session 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe this first episode is just like the first third or half of that first scenario that I had planned, which is a modification of an established Traveller scenario called High and Dry. So it'll probably, the main story beats will be recognizable to many people who know the setting and the scenarios in the game.
So we are a mismatched crew of weirdos. That is pretty much clear from the very beginning.
Both in the game and out.
Yeah, we're not good people. We're not the best the Imperium has. Now, this is a story of misadventure. This is a story of many mistakes. This is a story where you will hear the phrases dehydrated whale, Osama bin Dolphin, and I think this is a cult. This is a story of us. You will hear us talking about eldritch gods getting lost among the stars and wondering who's actually in charge more than once. As well, in between, we will be trying to piece together parts of the plot as we intercept things. Mr. Train. Here comes Mr. Train. All right. So, at any rate, that is all we really needed to tell you about where this Traveller game started. A misfit crew was sent by the Scout Service to pick up a ship. In our first interactions with Imperial bureaucracy, Crowban stole a few ashtrays, and we went to a diner. That is pretty much it. We were the absolute scourge of that starport, going around, meeting with people, and getting into shenanigans. We became very much aware that there was and were bigger things going on in the universe, but we were far too dumb and far too unimportant to be trusted with any of it.
Next time on Traveller.
So you find a vending machine.
What does it have?
It says on the front where you would normally be able to see, it says, "You're using ad block. Please disable to see contents."
Oh, fuck you.
Fucking hell.
I hate this. I take out my tools and I disable ad block permanently. I just give it a bonk in the right place.
All right, you put a crowbar through the screen. You can now see some of the items inside.
Oh, yes. So
You can see so clearly now.
I failed but succeeded.
Yep.
Ah, yes. Instant access protocols. There are only suck-mouth sustenance in that machine, Captain. Janitor.
Why do you keep calling me Captain Janitor? Anyways.
You clean up all of our trouble. You are Captain Janitor. It is an honored title.
Speaking of trouble, you notice he's a security guard walking towards you guys kind of quickly.
Jail run any percent.
Reckless our ship, reckless we are. Long is our trip, jumping afar. Reactivated auxiliary scout, a package and not given round. Captain can't plot jumps, but we'll get back yet. The rift has its monsters, the stars Carlos dead. The spinward marches on as they were before, consumed by the fires of the Second Civil War. Our times are coming, lest we hold the long night back. News filters in the scattered reports, cryptic broadcasts in each port. What is their mission? What is their game? I hope we do not get the blame. Stalk killing on a fate most grotesque, nearly outed by the lady at the desk. Rebels demand it, but soon they will learn the payload was swapped for cream corn. The spinward marches on as they were before, consumed by the fires of the Second Civil War. Hard times keep coming, lest we hold the long night. fit for bed. Ion catch on me. The Emperor dead, Shadow Sectors are starred. The Admiral mad musings and scars. The end draws nigh, but soon they'll find out. Our courier so reckless one round. One last gambit, and then before they begin, scour them like Crowban's burnt skin. Blow out the panels, no canvas on hand. Fill their compartment with sand. The spin with punches will not be as was be.